The views and opinions expressed on this program are those of the hosts, guests, and contributors, and are not those of WKYU-TV, its management, or WKU.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Hilltopper fans of all ages, TopperTalk's back after a 2-week hiatus, and we're sitting here. We're waiting, highly anticipating where the WKU Lady Toppers will end up in the NCAA tournament.
We're bringing it to you live
Bringing it to you live and direct.
Better than a selection show.
That's right. But maybe better than ESPN's, right?
That's right.
Let's break down every bracket game right now before we get to the actual full bracket. But anyway, full crew in the house, which it's kind of been, you know.
I feel like it's been forever since I've seen you
lately.
guys.
Yeah, I know.
I know it has.
Me, Sean's
We
here,
had the
Shane's
snow
here.
apocalypse that kept us from episode.
Yeah.
We had last week off, so here we are.
Last week was spring break, so you guys look like y'all ready to attend the Pimp of the Year event and
I
after the
accidentally
show.
prepared for St. Patrick's Day. Didn't even realize it, but things kind of
You
work
know
out
me, I
sometimes.
just come from work.
Yeah,
Dressed prepared.
it's all right. You always do that. So, yeah, we're sitting here watching the selection show, waiting to see where Western Kentucky goes. And you kind of mentioned it earlier, right before we came on the air, Woody, that they might actually end up playing UK in Lexington.
I said that was my prediction yesterday, that we'd end up in Lexington playing against Kentucky. And
Is that your prediction or like Joe Lenardi's prediction?
I consider myself the Joe Lenardi of women's basketball, I guess. No, not at all. But that's what I said
Yeah, that's
yesterday.
not what you told me earlier, man.
I said that yesterday. I did. And, with the way things are looking now, there's one region left to be revealed, and both teams are still out there. And
Yeah.
I'd say that's probably what's going to happen.
I think really if you look at it, and if the committee was smart, I don't know who the committee is on the women's side of things, but really it would make a lot of sense as far as, generating the most buzz and the most revenue and crowd and everything out of it if you get that matchup and it's in Lexington because, a lot of WKU fans are going to make the short trip to Lexington and watch them
I'd
play.
probably go watch it.
Plus, you get to play another in-state opponent. We did it earlier this year with Louisville, and that was a pretty hype game to have them come in the house, and obviously they're a top 5 team, so to play another team that's pretty, it's really raised the bar, and it's a pretty prolific team right now is UK. Their women's team has done a really good job the past 2 or 3 years. So.
Yep. And Western women have really raised their bar and their level of play too. So I can fully expect a good game there.
I think so.
Yeah, you talk about it. Obviously, trade back to a week, last week or over the weekend. WKU women. Pull off quite a win in the championship game.
Right.
Obviously against Arkansas State, a team that we haven't had a lot of success against. I think they were 0-4, up until that point, the last 2 seasons under Michelle Clark-Hurt against Arkansas State. So, but they score 18 in the final 22 points and end up winning 61-60. So, it's almost like
It's a Harper-esque comeback.
I was going to say that, and I was thinking about that too because, it's almost like the men lost, to Lafayette. It's almost like, Harper kind of threw that comeback magic wand and just handed it to Michelle Clark-Hurt. It's like, hey, we're done for the season. Here you go if you need it. And, they really pulled it out 61-60. Great. Just when you thought that, they were going to come down, it was going to be like a double-digit loss, and, it was going to be disappointment all around for WKU. They just kind of clicked, and it, it went like that.
My ESPN 3 feed froze with about 6 minutes left, and I was like, well, I'm not going to turn it back on.
You just went to
game's
sleep,
fine.
right?
I didn't go to sleep. I just stayed awake and kept up on Twitter, but I kept seeing the comeback, slowly happening, and then all of a sudden, we're up, and I was like, man, I need to try to get this feed back on. I got it on just in time to see us, rush the floor as we won, so definitely an exciting night.
Yeah, it's definitely good to get a little taste of victory, and like I said, on a night that where it didn't start out so well because the men lost to Lafayette, but we'll get to that in a few. But
and for the women to in their last stint in the Sun Belt as with another conference championship, I think that was a big key for them. They've been one of the teams that's pretty much dominated this conference over the years. So it was nice to see them kind of finish it off in style.
Yeah,
how they should.
And you say finish it off in style. They literally have. You look at the kind of a rocky start. Probably the beginning to midway through the season. Obviously, you got Alexis Goban who's hurt and out for the year, and that was an issue too. But the last 10 games, they've won 10 in a row. It seems like everything started clicking, especially offensively. They had that stretch there where I think they won like 4 or 5 games by 24 plus points against opponents. So they really have turned it on offensively and defensively as well, and they've really kind of found their stride. And when you got a player like Goban go out, you got to have other people step up. And really, I think the main person, everybody stepped up in a way. Everybody's contributed in a big way since her absence, but especially Kendall Noble.
Kendall Noble stepped up big time.
She's almost, she does a little bit of everything, almost like Elfrid Payton on the men's side in the Sun Belt. She scores, she rebounds, she assists, she steals. So she does it all, and she, of course, Kendall had 12 points in the championship game, had the layup with 1:21 to go. That kind of put Western up for good. Had some defensive stands there at the end and was able to prevail. And, of course, Chastity Gooch, she always does her thing. She had a double-double, 26 points and 12
She's
rebounds.
the rock of the team.
Yeah,
The steady hand every single game. You can pretty much guarantee what she's going to put up every game.
Yeah. So, it's important whenever Govan goes down to it not be the Chastity Gooch show and everybody kind of key in on her. So
it just announced.
what do we
That was
got?
wrong.
Baylor versus Western Kentucky and Waco, Texas.
Good thing about that, Baylor does not have Brittany Griner
Yep.
anymore. So
Don't have to go against 6'8" Brittany Griner anymore.
So obviously, all right, that's in Texas. So obviously, maybe not the prediction we were wanting.
I'm surprised.
Yeah.
I am.
Saturday at 5:30 our time in Bowling Green. So
WKU, the 15 seed, Baylor, the 2 seed. I honestly expected the UK matchup in Lexington.
Instead, they're
so
playing
probably
Wright
made
State.
too much sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. We should be on the committee. That's why we need to be
Yeah.
on the committee, because there's a lot of people complaining about the men's basketball side and how some of the ratings and seedings were with that.
I tell you
so.
what, going to the men's side, that Midwest bracket is just ridiculous.
I've never seen a region with so many good teams. I don't
No.
think.
Yeah.
And it, of course, I don't know if this is my, bias, I guess, against not liking the teams from the upper so-called Power 5 conferences, and a lot of media is biased toward them. But, for Wichita State, the only number one, only one seed non-BCS team in the field, for them to have the hardest road to the Final Four, and it's starting with game number 2 where they have to, potentially face off against UK.
Or Kansas State. I mean,
or
you never know
Kansas.
how
I
that
mean,
game's
Kansas
gonna
State's
go.
good too. But that's just, that's kind of ridiculous for Wichita State, who, I expected big things from them, and that bracket is not setting them up for another tournament run.
Yeah. But, I mean, you talk about, let's kind of flip back to the women. They're showing, Baylor on the screen right now. I hope they show the WKU toppers
the
at the
party at
Mr.
Mr.
B's.
B's.
Yeah.
Hope
Sounds
they
like
show
there's
a
a party
live
going at
feed.
Smoky Bones too. I don't know why they couldn't combine the parties, but
I know. Well, they couldn't combine the parties, but
the Lady Tops and Baylor have actually never played against each other, so this will be the first meeting between the two schools.
obviously,
so it'll be interesting.
I think when you look at it, we were talking about them possibly playing UK earlier, but now they're playing Baylor. Obviously, both teams, it's going to be tough to beat both teams. They're obviously upper echelon teams. I don't really know a whole lot about Baylor's women this year other than the fact that they don't have Brittany Griner. So
we're looking at Sims.
I'm
I
sure-
think your first name's Odyssey, if I remember
Yeah.
right.
I believe
maybe,
that's
I
right.
don't know.
So
She's good.
She's a good player. There's some Brittany Griner highlights. I don't know why they're showing
That was
her
last
out
year.
there
That was
anymore.
last year.
But yeah, they're definitely a good team. Yeah, I mean, it'll be an uphill battle, but our women have
Always
definitely
is.
pver that they're always up for a fight for sure.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, they won the Puerto Rico shootout this year, and they
Yep.
played some good teams down there, so.
Yeah.
Uh,
You never know. NCAA tournament, if anything, it gives teams like Western that maybe a lot of people don't know about because they play in the Sun Belt Conference a chance to shine against teams like Baylor that are in, a power conference and, are nationally recognized team and everything.
Well,
So,
and I think Western is a little better than what people have given them credit. I mean, they've stumbled a little bit in conference regular season this year, in a down Sun Belt, similar to how the men did. But they've turned it on here at the end of the season, and following Govan's injury, they've really stepped up as a team. And they've won 10 straight, so I think they're going into the tournament hot. They're going into the tournament on a roll. I think that can only benefit them.
I really think you can ask for anything better than winning 10
Nope.
straight games. I mean, you get hot at the right time, and that's,
And what better time than the
late
end of the
February,
year when it
March.
matters
Oh,
most?
for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So, it'd be interesting to see. Obviously, maybe going to Texas will deter some WKU fans from making the trip. But, hopefully some will go down there and definitely check out the team and root them on. So we'll definitely be watching them there. But, I mean, kudos to them. They get in the tournament. Michelle Clark, her second season. So she's had a lot of success in her 2 years here to go to turn this team into a 20-win team last year. And to do what she did this year and the way they finished and everything like that and get an NCAA tournament bid and Sun Belt champions. They go out on top in the Sun Belt, so they wave goodbye to the Sun Belt Conference on top. So it's good.
Yeah, I mean, regardless of what happens in the tournament games, you got to be thrilled with the direction this program is going. I mean, not looking ahead to next year by any means, but we return, a whole lot of production off this team this year. Plus, you get a
Yeah.
healthy Govan back. You got a great recruiting class coming in, so things are definitely pointing upward for the Lady Tops for sure.
And not just, I mean, the Lady Tops. I think it goes for both basketball programs
agree.
right now. I mean, look at everything the men are bringing back next year.
No,
everything the women
I
are.
really think we should fire. I'm just kidding.
Everything the women Lady Tops are bringing back next year. I think that's
that percentage fan base still wants Hopper fired, man. I mean, it's just
that's ridiculous. People just don't understand. People just expect
I'm just
Dorothy
saying,
to hit her
hey,
little
hey,
red
hey,
slippers and
Hey, we didn't win 30 games this season. He needs to be gone.
No, I mean, yeah, you look at where we were at 2 years ago. We were, bottom third of the teams in the whole country, and now we're in the upper third. I mean, that's progression. I don't know what more you want than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, and like we were talking about before the show and everything with just all the other issues, stuff, the APR issues, just everything else. I mean, it makes it it makes it difficult to come up out of that hole. And he's done a good job. Coach Harper has done a good job getting us there, and it's an upward trend. Some things just aren't changed overnight. People like to use examples of other coaches that have turned stuff around overnight. Those are few and far in between. It doesn't happen like that all the time. I mean, if it happens like that, great. Hey, lucky you. But that stuff doesn't happen all the time, even with great coaches.
Mm-hmm.
So people just need to be patient. I mean, next year is legitimately his third year.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't think you can really count his taking over in January as, a full season under
It's
Harper.
half season, man.
Exactly. So, yeah. So, I think
I
next year
I like to play devil's advocate on the show sometimes.
I guess that's good.
In a joking way.
I think next year, could be, one of the better years,
I think I said it, sometime in January on the show, depending on the way the rest of this year would finish, if we were to end the season with a tournament loss and not make the NCAA tournament, I think you'll see, knowing the kind of guys that George and TJ and Trincy are, I know how this loss is going to sort of stick in their mouth the next couple of years. That taste is going to not be a good one. So they're going to work on that. They're going to try to improve and not have to deal with this loss again next year, especially going to a new conference. They're going to want to take over from day one.
And I think you bring up a good point. I think it might actually benefit them to have lost this year, because they're going to come back next year, work a little harder instead of always thinking that, hey, well, we're down, but we can play good the last 5 minutes and win this.
Right. This team.
This is kind of one of those times where they're just going to, hopefully they'll learn from this experience and they'll come back next year and not want to take any chances and just.
They always seem like they could
take care of
fall
business.
back on a little bit, and like you said, just wait till the end. We can always come back, and yeah, we can do that. We've proven we can do that, but it's not necessarily where
Let's
you
not
want to
rely
be.
on that.
Yeah, well, I think they've learned that they need to come out, and I think the lessons that we learned this past weekend will definitely benefit us next year.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point, Woody, just because you mentioned Price and Fant and those guys. They haven't tasted defeat in the postseason, so it's a little bit different for them this year that they have. And, not having that success that they've been used to in the last two seasons, I think that's really going to kind of motivate them for their senior season for sure. And
especially knowing how close we were. I mean, we're one couple made free throws away, and then Lafayette comes out.
We could have made 4 down there at the end. And about 3 layups, too.
Been a little different for sure.
But while we're at it, let's just go ahead and talk about the obviously the women did their thing, and they're going to the NCAA tournament. The men came up a little bit short against Lafayette. I mean, it was a great game. I mean, we came up a point short. You had a chance to win it there at the end. Just didn't happen. But let's talk about the game. I mean, what did you guys think of the game, the flow of the game, how it went? What WKU could have done different to win the game. I mean, what do you guys think about Saturday's game against Lafayette?
I still think it comes down to free throws, quite honestly. I mean, we shot about 50% from the free throw line.
Here's the thing about free throws. Got some stats for you.
Okay. You throw those out.
Let me lick my finger here.
Educate the people. Educate the people.
Mic down.
Here. Don't knock my mic over, okay? All right, 2 of 6 from the line the last 2 minutes and 30 seconds. And you also missed 3 layups, 3 short-range shots and layups the last minute and 30 as well. So there's 4 points you left out on the court, and then you got the layup issues too, and that includes
6 points on layups.
That includes T.J. Price's last-second layup attempt he tried there at the end, and really, I mean, that was I know people were asking Harper, well, should you have called a timeout after? When you grabbed the rebound there at the end, he had the matchup he wanted. He had T.J. Price one-on-one, and he was running down the baseline.
Exactly.
I mean, that's exactly what you want.
The ball's going to be in TJ's hands. In any event,
he had it in TJ's hands,
yeah.
and he had a clear lane to the basket. So it just, maybe the angle could have been a little bit different. But, I mean, I love his aggressiveness. He was going to the basket, trying to create something, and it just didn't work out.
In that situation, that's about as good of a shot as you can hope for, I think. I mean,
Yeah, just didn't fall,
Right.
and it just didn't go away. But yeah, we had opportunities. 2 of 6 from the line last, and of course, as much as we praise Carl Kamene for his his hustle play and everything like that, he grabbed a great offensive rebound on a missed shot.
Yeah, and
but
I kind of
unfortunately,
knew those 2 missed free throws were coming as soon as he got back.
unfortunately, he tried to shoot the ball, tried to shoot the layup, and got fouled, and he had to go to the line. And he's not the most reliable free throw shooter, and obviously he missed both shots
And
on
you
that
know
one.
what? And honestly, credit to George Fant down the stretch. He was making his free throws when it counted.
Yeah, I think in that stretch, I think Fan only missed 1 or 2 in that 2 of 6 stretch. But I mean, before then, he was making his free throws for the most
He
part.
had
so.
I think he had like 4 straight before
Yeah.
missing that one too.
And of course, Trincey Jackson, he went 1 or 2 from the line there at the end too. But you can sit there and point at a lot of things. But obviously, we've talked about free throws all year. It's kind of been beaten to the ground. But obviously, it keeps coming back up that if we make more free throws than if we make like 65% of our free throws, for the majority of the games, we would actually have a lot more wins. It just seems like it's an issue that just keeps coming up, just because, especially down the stretch when we're trying to preserve a lead, we just can't hit our free throws because it's just it's just clutch situations where we're not hitting them.
I mean, on the season, we actually average around 65% from the line.
Well, we just can't hit them when we need
But
right?
it's
either those games are either
but it's-
85% or 50%.
Yeah,
We
that's
never
that's
hit
the thing.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly.
That's
You're
the thing is
inconsistent.
we need consistency. We need, like you said, you don't need game. I mean, we do need games where we shoot 90%, but we don't need the games where we're only shooting 50. I mean, I realize the law of averages plays in there, but you just can't expect to win close games against good teams when you're not hitting your free throws.
Yeah,
That's just basketball 101.
It was a really good situation too. You look back at the first half, you get Sean Long in some foul trouble. That really helped us out. But you had LeBron Mabalu guy. He just went off in the first half, and he ended up with 23
And
points.
then
I think he scored
after he
16.
cooled down, then
Elfrid Payton took over.
Yep.
I mean, we talk about it here. I mean, he's a surefire NBA player.
I saw
we know
mock
that
draft
because
yesterday that had him at number 16 overall.
we know that because whenever they came here and played us, there's 2 NBA GMs
Yeah.
on press row, and then
Yeah.
there's 7 other NBA scouts. So I mean, obviously, you can only really hope to contain Elfrid Payton.
Right.
And obviously, whenever
Or send him to the free throw line. That's one
Yeah,
thing I wish
exactly.
Western would have done at the end instead of giving him some of those shots or on that last possession where Peyton hit that go-ahead bucket.
layup,
I wish we
yeah.
would have fouled him, make
Yeah.
him earn it at the stripe because he is an awful free throw shooter.
that's the thing,
Awful.
I kind of brought that up too. And
If you think Western's a bad free throw shooting team, Peyton himself is worse.
I actually tweeted that out because you saw, obviously Peyton's layup there at the
Right.
end was the difference maker. And, you did say Fant,
Kind of backed off a
he
little
backed off because he had 4 fouls.
Right.
And it seemed like he was scared to do it and not sacrifice that foul whenever and you brought up a good point. Elfrid Payton's a bad free throw shooter. Might as well foul him and make him earn them at the line instead of just having an easy layup.
I believe Peyton shot like 49%
Yeah.
from the free throw line for the season or something
Yeah.
like that. I mean, that's
So that, I mean, really when that play happened, I actually tweeted it out. I was like, Fant gave up on that play because he didn't want to foul Elfrid Payton because he had 4 fouls. And he could have easily done it. Sure, he would have set the bench, but hey, the law of averages speaks for itself, and you mentioned it, Shane.
You'd rather him
he's a bad
make
free
you'd
throw
rather
shooter.
him make his average, which is about 1 of 2,
Mhm.
which would have just tied the game up instead of giving them the 2-point lead.
Yeah. So obviously, maybe a bad judgment in there on Fant's part. Should have been a little more aggressive on that one and tried to foul him. Obviously, when you foul in that situation, make sure your hands are going down because you don't want to give him a 3-point
Exactly.
play. So, but yeah, I mean, we can point to a lot of things, and when it comes down to it, I mean, you think about how Western played, and I mean, they made a run there at the end of the game. I mean, it looked like even Lafayette made a run. I think they made a 9-0 run. It was tied at 52. They made a 9-0 run, and then you thought, oh, man, Western's out of gas. And then all of a sudden, Western just starts chipping away.
Yep.
They get back in the game and take the lead, and but they just couldn't preserve the lead at the end. So, it's just one of those games. It's a really hard-fought game by both teams, and, I kind of said after the game, I tweeted out, it's like, despite the loss, it was actually really a great game to watch.
Congrats to Lafayette though. They went, into the championship game and took care of business against Georgia State too. And
Those snobby Georgia State guys,
the
man.
little snobby Georgia State team.
Ryan
but
Harrell, you score those 37 points all you want to. You're not going to the NCAA tournament.
They
Was there a post-game fight between Georgia State players after the
there-
game
there
because they
probably
didn't win
was.
it?
Pretty good odds on that. I like Lafayette's chances against Creighton in the tournament too. I may be crazy for thinking that, but I think that's a good matchup for them.
I think it is too. A lot of people are talking about Creighton just throwing bombs down on Lafayette, but I think Lafayette's athleticism
I think so.
is going to get and speed is going to give Creighton some problems. I really do.
Yeah, I think it's a pretty interesting matchup just because, I mean, Creighton's kind of one of those teams that kind of rely a little bit too much on their perimeter three-point shooting, you know, kind of like Western does sometimes.
Yep.
But Creighton's kind of a team that can come out on fire or they can come out ice cold, and they've had a lot of games this season where they come out ice cold and it's ended up
Yeah, I mean, they've
biting them.
lost games. It's not like they're Wichita
Yeah.
State coming in undefeated.
Exactly. So it'd be interesting to see. You know, obviously, I think the big factor for Lafayette is keeping Sean Long in the game. You know, foul trouble kind of seems to be his bugaboo.
He plays great against
for the
everybody
most
except
part.
us,
Yeah.
apparently, so we'll see what happens.
And you know, I think Lafayette really needs to just you know, focus on the rest of Creighton's team and not really worry about McDermott. McDermott's going to get his, defend him one-on-one, let him get his, just worry about shutting everybody else down.
It's kind of like
Because he's not going to score 70 or 80.
kind of like we were talking about Alfred Payton earlier.
Yeah.
You know,
It's gonna be a fun matchup.
you really can't shut him down unless you got a really top-notch defender. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting to see that Lafayette, you know, at least we can take some kudos in saying that we lost to the conference champions.
Yeah.
And, of course, they beat the obvious odds-on favorite Georgia State. But you look at Lafayette, I mean, they were a team that was on fire, too. You know, they win like 10 of the last 12 games.
Yeah, something like that.
Right, yeah.
And their only two losses was to us and Georgia State.
Yep.
So, I mean, they're a team that kind of caught fire at the right time, just like we were talking about the Lady Toppers earlier. So,
Well, and going back to the Lady Toppers, too, Baylor's coach, Kim Mulkey, actually won't be coaching against Western in the opening round game
She's
because
scared?
of
She's scared?
post-game comments she made last season after the U of L game.
Forgot about that.
So she
I
has
remember.
to
she
sit
has
out.
to sit out.
She has to sit out the first game. So Western
Well,
will be
that-
taking on Baylor
there we
without
go.
their head coach.
Hey, there we go. The odds are slowly stacking in our favor.
I like it.
I did not know that. That's a good tidbit, Shane. So they'll be playing without their coach, obviously. I'm sure their assistant coach will take over and probably knows what to do, so I don't know.
I'm sure they'll have the game plan all figured out.
Yeah, well, maybe Michelle Clark-Hurd had a better game plan. How about that?
I have faith.
But yeah, we talk about you know, obviously, you know, we talk about the men's team. You know, obviously, not three-peating, not going to 3 straight NCAA tournament appearances, and not winning their 3rd straight Sun Belt Conference tournament. But we're making that transition to Conference USA. Of course, the season's over. It's kind of time to talk about, do you maybe see some potential roster shuffling going on? Because it usually happens this time of year. It really honestly happens almost everywhere, though.
I think they're, you know, like you said.
Let's talk in
it
hypotheticals,
happens,
okay?
It happens everywhere. I mean, I think a couple players will leave. I think that goes on at every school in the nation. It's just how things are now.
Whether it's an issue with playing time or, you know, maybe academics, I don't
Yeah.
know. Or
Or
usually a lot of those are just playing
you know,
time.
with some of the guys that we have on the team, I mean, it could end up even being a health issue,
Mm-hmm.
you know, which is something completely out of their control.
That's true.
You know, but you know, if they're not good to go basketball wise, you know, then you know they may not feel that they want to be here anymore.
Really, just to throw out a player's name that I think might be on, you know, may fit into that category potentially would be Nigel Snipes. I mean, and I like Nigel. I think he's a really good player. He just doesn't get a whole lot of minutes. I don't really know why. I'm sure Harper's got his ways. But, you know, he's a player that I'd really like to see play more.
He's got a sweet stroke. He's got athleticism.
I think maybe his biggest issue is maybe defense. He's not the best on defense, and maybe that's why Harper keeps him out of games.
I think his biggest issue might be his aggressiveness and his confidence coming back from his knee injury.
Yeah.
I think that might be what affected him this year. You know, if he gets that turned around, you know, it may end up being where he stays. But and this once again, this is all hypothetical.
Yeah,
but,
we're all hypothetically speaking, so don't, you know, go out there and terrorize
don't go
message
out there.
boards with our quotes, okay?
Yeah.
We'll come search you down. We got connections.
But then, like, you know, somebody like Kevin Kaspar, who's, you know, just constantly keeps getting injured and injured and injured. If that's, you know, something that keeps happening, he may, you know, want to go down to JUCO or to a smaller school or something like that, and maybe, you know, try getting some playing time there and, you know, rehabbing, I guess you could say.
Yeah, I think a lot of the issues when you see the transfers, a lot of it has probably to do with playing time, and you know you see the players that are coming in. Obviously, we got a good recruiting class coming in.
Right.
That's something we should talk about as well. I mean, we got a pretty top-notch recruiting class. Everybody talks about Justin Johnson. But I mean, you look and see
Clayton.
you look and see. Yeah, we got Clayton too. Not a lot of people know about him, but obviously from what we've seen about him, he's a
The
very
few
solid
videos are out
player.
there on him.
He just plays at a obscure academy somewhere in Florida. So
Elevate.
Yeah, elevate. But you also see what Avery Patterson can do. You see what he
Yeah.
did in the playoffs for his team. I mean, a
After
lot,
the run they had, I'm excited about him.
Yeah.
And he
a lot-
has.
and a lot of
I mean,
people
he has
did-
several D1 players on his team too.
A lot of
and,
people
he was
didn't
taking over.
A lot of people didn't know a whole lot about him. It's like, well, can he score? Because everybody just thought, well, maybe he's just a point guard that can handle the ball well. Does he score? But he actually proved that he can score
can
a whole
pretty much do
lot. He can
everything.
he can take over a game whenever he wants to. But yeah, it's like you say, Shane. He didn't really have to in the grand scheme of things because he's got like 2 other kids on his team that are like.
I think there are 2
heavily
kids on his
recruited.
team that are in the top 100.
Yeah.
I know one of them is
Or
like
top
top
150.
15
Yeah.
next year in the junior class right now.
So
Yeah.
I mean, he didn't have to have the load on his shoulders a
But
lot. So.
but when he needed to, he was the one that stepped up. And
Mm-hmm.
He carried
You know,
the
he
team
can-
through the playoffs
Yep,
up to
he
the
sure did.
state championship game.
Yeah. So you see what he was able to do in the playoffs and in crucial, critical situations. So I think it gets WKU fans really pumped up
And
to
then
see what he does.
you have Clayton, which even though a lot of people don't know, the like you said, the videos we've seen on him, a lot of people that have seen him though are kind of comparing him to the same type of player. Now, same type. I'm not saying he is. But
What are you trying to say,
same
Shane?
type of player as
Give
what
it to me.
Courtney Lee was.
Oh, he's gonna be Courtney
smooth-
Lee?
No,
Courtney
he's not
Lee's
gonna be Courtney Lee. But just that smooth jump shot, athleticism.
Better get his autograph quick, right? Before he goes
Want it done.
Gosh.
But
Hey, if Ray Harper gets a one-and-done player, kudos to him.
Yep.
I guess, right?
apparently,
As long as he can shoot free throws.
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to do that in
I'm throwing
NBA,
the
man.
message
Come
board
on.
comment in there.
But yeah, I mean, he has a smooth game to him too. He's a good perimeter player, has good size, has good shooting touch. Is just very smooth player. I think he could end up being a good one as well.
Real quickly, I know we got a couple minutes left, but possible late additions to this roster. Me and you kind of talked about. I think we talked about it before you got here, but maybe JUCO additions to this roster. What do you guys see in that direction as far as that goes?
I think maybe a
Possibilities, hypothetically speaking.
JUCO point guard, maybe.
Can we get another?
JUCO
Can we get a Jeremy
small
Lee?
forward, power forward?
Can we get a Jeremy Evans from
Jeremy Evans, that'd be nice.
from JUCO?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've had several, JUCO point guards, JUCO power forwards that we're looking at. One JUCO power forward in particular visited campus that, is one of the better ones left in the country. I know
Yeah.
he's JUCO or prep school. I'm blanking.
I think he's prep
Prep school, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
Yeah. So if we can get a guy like that, that'd be a big addition for
Yeah.
sure.
You can definitely see that going in the direction of adding another guard, a shooting guard, or another forward down low, for depth issues and perceptions and everything like that. And plus, like you said, we don't know how the roster's going to shake out, so obviously that's something that will be to be determined in the coming months. But we talk about what Harper's done with this team so far. I know certain people are going to be down because we didn't win another conference title and all that stuff, but we still got 20 wins in the season. In the regular season, and that's a big accomplishment, to be honest with you.
Well, and
because
it's an
really,
improvement from a 6 seed to a 2 seed in the conference tournament,
Exactly,
too. That's
yeah.
the big one for me.
and you get a double bye, and that I think that was a big issue. I think that was the big thing going into the conference tournament for Western. They had the double bye, and that's something they haven't been used to. They've had to win 4 games in 4 days the last 2 years. I mean, that takes a lot out of you. And when you can get to that point where you can get that 2 or 1 or 2 seed and get the
Right.
double bye, I mean that shows you that you're improving as a team overall. So. And definitely you can see improvements. Still trying to get the right pieces together. Speaking of that, we're running out of time, so we'll be back
Quick
next
show.
week.
He
Quick
just keeps
show.
on talking.
All right, go Tops.
Go Tops.
Represent
Go
the
Lady
NCAA
Tops.
Lady
tournament.
Tops.
We're out.
Was this death threat a hoax, or did assassination run in the Booth family? Did this top-secret patent help build the world's most dangerous weapon? And did this mysterious invention record messages from the dead? No secret is safe as the history detectives unlock the mysteries of America.